My friend, there comes a moment when you must choose to abandon the exhausting chase and remember the quiet power that lives within you. You have been taught to run, to strive, to wrestle the world for what you desire. But this chasing is a confession. It is a silent admission. I do not yet have what I seek. And as long as that belief lives in you, your world must reflect it. You must understand, nothing real can be missing from you. Your desires are not random, they are revelations. Each longing is a whisper from your deeper self, showing you the shape of your truest identity. You do not need to pursue it. You only need to become it. Pause now. Still your mind. Breathe. Feel what it would be like if what you seek were already yours. Not tomorrow, not after you prove yourself, but now, here, in this very breath. The outer world is not your master, it is your mirror, and the mirror does not change until you do. No more begging life to notice you, no more hoping that others will validate your worth. Instead, assume the posture of one who already has. Walk as if the door has opened, smile as if the answer has come. Sleep tonight in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and the world will bow to the vibration you radiate. You are not here to chase, you are here to attract. And you attract by being, not by striving, not by pleading, but by embodying. Change your inner conversations. Speak not of lack, but of possession. Do not say, I will be, say, I am. For when you speak as one who is, all things rearrange to support the truth of your being. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. You are not becoming powerful, you have always been. You are now remembering what you once forgot. Let others chase. Let them exhaust themselves in the external, but you, be still and know. Be silent and imagine. Be bold and assume. Life, obedient and precise, will deliver all that matches the energy of the one who no longer chases, but simply knows. Desire is not a signal that something is far from you. It is not a reminder that you are lacking or waiting or hoping. No, desire is the evidence that what you seek already exists, and it is whispering through your soul to be known. The very moment a desire is born within you, it does not come from outside circumstances. It rises from the depths of your own consciousness, asking you not to chase, but to awaken. You see, nothing truly real can be added to you from the outside. Everything meaningful, everything enduring is already within. The world may reflect it later, but the origin of that reflection is internal. That longing you feel is not a void, it is a seed. And the seed does not cry for the tree. It knows that within it lies the entire forest, waiting for the right moment to unfold. The tragedy is that most people misunderstand desire. They treat it as a signal to go out, to beg, to prove, to run harder, faster. They wear themselves out pursuing what they already are. They do not realize that chasing something is to silently agree with its absence. And what you agree with inwardly, you sustain outwardly. You will never catch what you believe is beyond you. You will only repeat the loop of trying. But there is another way, a higher way. And that is to understand that you do not chase what you are. You reveal it by being it. The artist does not become an artist the moment they sell a painting. They are an artist the moment they feel it to be true within themselves. The lover is not made by another's affection. They are a lover the moment they walk in love. The wealthy do not become so when the money arrives. They become it the moment they rest in the feeling of abundance. To be is greater than to pursue. You must sit quietly with yourself and ask, if I had what I wanted now, how would I feel? How would I move? How would I think? What would I no longer seek? And then you live that, you walk in it, you breathe in it, not as an act, but as an embodiment. For it is not pretending, it is creating, it is aligning. You do not summon the future by force. You allow the future by resonance. Your only task is to come into harmony with the reality you wish to see. And you do this not through effort, but through assumption, through feeling, through imagination. The invisible you believe in becomes the visible you live in. Desire then is a holy guide. It points not to what is absent, but to what is waiting to be expressed. And you must stop running after it and instead ask yourself, what must I become so that this is no longer something I want, but something I am? It is already within you. It always was. You don't need to chase the sun when you are already holding the light. Just remove the clouds of doubt and let it shine. When you chase something, you reveal more than effort, you reveal belief. You speak not with your words, but with your energy, and what you say is, I do not have it. Every action taken in pursuit, when driven by desperation, becomes a declaration of lack. You become the one who waits, the one who hopes, the one who is separate from the very thing they long for. And in the unseen laws that govern your experience, that sense of separation is honored. You are given what you affirm, not with your mouth, but with your state of being. Chasing is not movement toward, it is movement away. Because to chase is to see something outside yourself. It is to treat your desire as distant, detached from your current reality. It is the subtle agreement that you are here and what you want is out there. And that distance, that gap, grows the more you chase. But attracting is different. Attracting comes from stillness, from knowing, from the silent confidence that what is yours cannot miss you. When you attract, you do not need to run. You become. You declare with your presence, it is already mine. Not because it has shown up in the world yet, but because it has shown up in you. You feel it. You live in the mood of it. You act from the outcome, not toward it. And in doing so, you become magnetic. Life reorganizes to match the frequency of your assumption. The outer world is a mirror, never a creator. You cannot fool it with words or surface actions. You can only attract what you are in truth. You do not get what you wish for, you get what you embody. You draw to yourself people, events, opportunities, and outcomes that are harmonious with your self-concept. So if your concept is rooted in lack, the world will echo that. If your concept is built in fullness, the world will show you fulfillment. This is why some people receive without striving. It's not luck. It's alignment. They have assumed a state of being that matches their desire. They feel worthy, complete, and at peace before the thing arrives. And because their vibration says, I already am, the universe responds, so it shall be. You must begin to see your desire not as something to acquire, but something to allow. Not as a goal in the distance, but as a state that you can wear now. Don't wait for proof to feel it. Feel it and the proof will come. Speak less about what you want and more from the place of already having it. Replace hope with certainty. Replace pursuit with presence. Chasing will always tire you. It places the power outside. But attracting is effortless. It happens through being. The moment you embody the version of you who already has what they want, you will stop waiting and start receiving. You will no longer send out the signal of lack. You will send out the frequency of completion. And life, ever obedient, will mirror back the truth you now hold, that it is already yours. You do not get what you want. You get what you believe you are worthy of. This is the truth that many overlook, hoping that sheer desire or effort will shift their world. But desire without self-worth is empty. Effort without inner belief is noise. It is not enough to want something. You must believe you deserve it. You must believe it is natural for you to have it, to hold it, to live within it. Your entire reality bends itself around your self-concept. Who you think you are deep in your heart becomes the foundation upon which everything else is built. If you see yourself as undeserving, the world agrees. If you see yourself as abundant, the world reflects that too. You cannot consistently receive from life what you have not first given to yourself internally. You will always resist the very thing you believe is too good for you. So the question is not, how do I get what I want? The true question is, who do I believe I am? Because your life is simply the echo of your identity. You cannot escape it. You walk into every situation, every relationship, every opportunity as yourself. Not the version you show to others, but the version you whisper to yourself when no one else is listening. If you secretly believe you're not enough, not ready, not lovable, that becomes your lived experience. Not because the world is cruel, but because it is obedient. It mirrors you with perfect precision. It gives you what you most often assume to be true about yourself. Whether you speak it aloud or carry it silently, you must look closely, gently, and honestly at what you think you deserve. Do you accept crumbs when you long for the feast? Do you tolerate disrespect when your soul craves reverence? These are not acts of sacrifice. They are reflections of an inner story, one that must be rewritten if you ever wish to live differently. And the rewriting begins not with changing the outer world, but by changing your relationship with yourself. Speak to yourself as someone of value. See yourself as already worthy, not because you have accomplished some task, but because you are. Existence alone has qualified you. Creation would not have made you if you were not meant to receive the fullness of it. Begin to assume that what you want is not too big, not too far, not for someone else. Begin to imagine that it is yours because you are the kind of person it naturally belongs to. Wear that feeling, rest in that confidence. Let it become your new home. The moment your self-concept shifts, so does your world. People treat you differently. Opportunities appear, doors open, not through force, but through reflection. The outer is simply catching up to the new inner. You attract not what flatters your ego, but what matches your belief. So change the belief. See yourself as worthy, deeply and fully, not one day, but now. And then watch how life bows to your truth and mirrors back everything you once thought was out of reach. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of power. In a world addicted to noise, reaction, and endless striving, the one who chooses stillness appears passive, even indifferent. But that is a mistake in perception. For stillness is not weakness. It is strength at its highest expression. It is the soul refusing to panic. It is the mind anchored in knowing. It is creation in its purest form. You are not designed to chase. You are not made to plead, to beg, to convince. Your power was never in your struggle. It was in your silence. The still soul sees clearly. It is not hurried by fear or pulled by doubt. It trusts what cannot yet be seen because it knows that reality is first imagined, then revealed. It understands that all movement begins within and that outer conditions are only echoes of what you have already accepted as true. Silence is not emptiness. It is alignment. When you are silent, you create space. And in that space, you allow, you surrender, not to fate, but to truth. You stop wrestling with life and you let life meet you. It is not a surrender of desire, but a surrender of resistance. It is not giving up. It is rising up in calm authority, knowing that what belongs to you cannot pass you by. There is a quiet kind of confidence that changes everything. The one who waits in knowing, not begging, draws all things unto them, not because they demand it, but because they expect it. Their silence is not empty, it is full of faith. Their stillness is not inactivity, it is deliberate receptivity. They have made peace with the unseen, and because of that, the seen must rearrange itself in response. When you can rest in your assumption, when you no longer argue with appearances, you step into your divine creative power. You become a vibrational match to your desire, not through action, but through being. And the world, which is only ever a mirror, bends to reflect that shift. Stillness requires trust. It requires that you detach from the old reflex to fix, to hustle, to prove. It requires that you no longer look for validation from the outside, but instead confirm your inner vision with unwavering certainty. That kind of knowing cannot be taught. It must be chosen, and once you choose it, it carries you. You will notice that what once seemed difficult now arrives effortlessly. What once eluded you now finds you. Not because you chased it, but because you became still enough to receive it. You stopped trying to control every detail and instead embodied the outcome. In that quiet embodiment, you became irresistible to the very thing you desired. Silence is your sanctuary. Stillness is your signal. In them, you return to your true self. The creator, not the chaser. The one who speaks not with noise but with intention. The one who commands not with force but with faith. And from that sacred place, all things are drawn unto you as reflections of the truth you have already become. Feeling is the hidden force behind all creation. It is not thought alone that shapes your world, but thought clothed in emotion, felt with intensity and lived as truth. You may affirm something 1,000 times, but if your feeling contradicts your words, it is your feeling that will be made manifest. The universe listens not to your lips, but to your state of being, and your state is nothing more than what you consistently feel to be true. Emotion is not weakness, it is power. It is creative fire. When imagination and emotion are fused, something miraculous occurs. You begin to impress your inner reality onto the outer world. You stop wishing and you start transmitting. You no longer act as someone trying to create. You become the one who has already created. You feel the scene of your desire as real, and in doing so, you send out a frequency that must return to you in physical form. This is the law, not because of magic, but because of the nature of consciousness. You are always imagining something, always feeling something, and the world around you, your relationships, your finances, your health, your opportunities, is reflecting that internal movie. If you imagine lack and feel it, the world brings more lack. If you imagine abundance and feel it as real, abundance shows up, not as luck, but as alignment. It is not about pretending or forcing emotion. It is about selecting a new inner experience and allowing yourself to dwell in it, to breathe into it, to saturate your mind with the tones of fulfillment. Ask yourself, what would it feel like if it were already done? Then live from that answer. Walk through the world with that emotion silently pulsing through you. Not to prove anything, but because you have chosen to live in the state of the wish fulfilled. Many people confuse emotion with reaction. But reaction is unconscious. It is triggered by what appears to be. Creative feeling is deliberate. You are not reacting to the outer world, you are creating a new inner world. And from that new world, the outer must conform. There is no power in cold thought. You can analyze, reason, and plan, but without feeling, those thoughts carry no charge. They do not move the unseen. But when you combine an image in your mind with the emotion of having it now, you ignite creation. You generate a force that draws your vision out of the invisible and into form. This is why you must guard your emotions, not suppress them, but guide them. Choose feelings that match the life you want, not the life you fear. And return to those feelings often, not as a task, but as a way of being. Over time, that feeling becomes your natural state. And when it does, the world bends to match it. So feel it now, not later, not when it comes, that is too late. Feel it now. And let that feeling be your prayer, your declaration, your magnetic signal. Because what you feel as real becomes real, not because you forced it, but because you embodied it. And what you embody, you inevitably attract. To live from the end is to claim the thing desired as already yours, not in theory, but in experience. You do not reach toward your desire as though it were far away. You stand in the middle of it. You feel its presence before your senses confirm it. You do not wait to see it, you become it. This is the secret. What you accept as true within, your outer world is compelled to reflect. There is no need to force or beg. Creation responds not to effort, but to alignment. When you live from the end, you shift from longing to possessing. You are no longer trying to get somewhere, you are already there. And from that inner stance, everything begins to move around you to support that truth. People, places, circumstances all begin to reorganize to mirror your inner certainty. This is not delusion, it is the way reality is shaped. You are not here to predict the future, you are here to create it. You must assume the wish fulfilled, not as hope, but as fact. Hope carries doubt. It says, maybe one day. Assumption declares, it is already done. And when you assume something is done, you act differently. You speak differently. You rest differently. You no longer carry the weight of waiting, because the waiting is over. The inner world has shifted, and the outer must follow. Most people live toward their desires, always pushing, always striving. But in doing so, they place their dreams in the future, always out of reach. When you live towards something, you say, it is not here. But when you live from it, you say, it is already mine. And that declaration, silent, steady, sure, is what changes everything. The feeling is the key. How would you feel if you already had what you desire? Safe, free, grateful, confident? Let that feeling become your home. Let it saturate your being. The moment you feel it is natural, it is yours. Do not look to the outer world for confirmation. Look within. Feel the reality of your desire. Dwell there. Return to it daily, not as a task, but as a remembering. Living from the end is not pretending. It is knowing. You do not need to explain it to others. They will see the change soon enough. Your job is not to convince, but to embody. The world is not your master, it is your mirror. Change your reflection by changing your stance. And let go of the how. It is not your job to construct the bridge of events. That is handled by the unseen intelligence that shapes all things. Your only task is to remain faithful to the end. See it, feel it, rest in it. Let your conversations, your actions, your thoughts all come from the place of already having. You are not becoming, you are. That is the difference between wishing and creating. You live as the person who already has, already is, already knows. And because you live from it, the world has no choice but to reflect it. Creation begins within. Walk in the assumption that it is done, and it shall be. Everything you seek is already within you. You do not have to chase, force, or plead. The power lies in stillness, in knowing, in becoming the embodiment of your desire. When you stop chasing and start attracting, you rise into the state of one who is, not one who waits. You begin to understand that your world is not happening to you, it is responding to you. What you feel, assume, and accept as true within will always manifest without. This is not philosophy, it is law. So live from the end. Speak not as one who hopes, but as one who knows. Become quiet in your confidence. Rest in your worthiness. Attract not by effort, but by identity. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and watch as all things are drawn to you with grace, not because you chased them, but because you finally realized they were yours all along. Thank you for listening. There is no power in the world greater than this. The moment you dare to believe that your world is not fixed, it is fluid, malleable, yours to shape, not by force, not by effort, but by the stillness of your assumption. One shift. It's all it takes, not 10, not 1,000 small efforts, just one sacred shift in how you see yourself. You spend too long trying to change what is outside, but the outside is not the cause, it is the echo, the reflection, the mirror, and no mirror ever changed until the one looking into it did. When you shift your inner state, even silently, even invisibly, everything outside must respond, not because you begged, pleaded, or fought, but because the law is perfect. The world obeys your self-concept. You are not a victim of what you see, you are the author of it. You don't have to figure out how the change will happen. You only need to decide who you are and live from that place. Assume it, live it, walk in it. Don't wait for evidence. Don't ask for signs. Be the sign. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. And the moment you become, in feeling, in imagination, in stillness, the world cannot help but catch up. The world is a shadow, following the light of your inner belief. So make the shift, once, fully, without looking back, without doubting. Stand in the new version of yourself and do not move. You'll see it, suddenly, unexpectedly, but inevitably, because one shift, just one, and everything changes. Everything you see, everything you touch, every person you encounter is a mirror held up to your inner world. This truth is not spoken loudly in society, because if it were fully accepted, it would hand you the key to all transformation. The truth is simple yet profound. Your outer world is nothing more than the reflection of your inner assumptions. What you accept as true about yourself, about life, about others, begins to take form in the world around you. You may believe your circumstances are fixed, that life happens to you, but that is only because you have not yet realized how deeply your inner state projects itself into the fabric of your reality. When you assume lack, you live in a world that confirms it. When you dwell in fear, your world gives you more to fear. But when you shift your inner focus to faith, to peace, to abundance, without needing to force or chase, your world begins to bend to that quiet inner knowing. The world obeys your self-concept. It does not respond to your words or your effort alone, but to the silent story you tell about who you are and what you deserve. This is why people who seem to do very little sometimes receive very much, and why those who try so hard often remain stuck. Because it is not effort that moves reality, it is alignment. Alignment with the inner image, the inner feeling, the inner knowing. You do not need to manipulate the outer. You don't need to convince others, fix your circumstances, or change your environment first. You must go within to the place where all change begins. If you can change your assumptions, your beliefs, your emotional stance, the world around you will begin to echo that change. Not always instantly, not always loudly at first, but certainly and unavoidably. Think of your consciousness like a projector. It casts images onto the screen of life, but the film it plays is made up of your assumptions. If you dislike what you see, you do not blame the screen, you change the reel. You change the image within, and the screen must follow. Your world is no different. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law of life. What you accept within must take shape without. The man or woman who assumes they are worthy will find opportunities arriving, support appearing, doors opening, not because they pushed, but because they believed. And belief is the seed of creation. Even in the silence, your assumptions are speaking. Even when you are not trying, your inner state is shaping the tone and texture of your days. So the only question that matters is this: what are you assuming to be true? Not what do you want to be true, but what are you accepting as true in the quiet chambers of your mind? When you begin to change that, even a little, you'll start to notice subtle shifts. You'll feel different. People respond differently. Circumstances begin to align. Why? Because the outer world has no choice. It is compelled to reflect what you truly believe within. Change your inner world and your life cannot stay the same. Imagination is not a child's plaything or a fleeting escape from reality. It is the very substance from which reality is formed. Everything that exists, every structure, every invention, every relationship began first in the unseen realm of imagination. What you accept and feel to be true in that quiet, sacred space becomes the blueprint for what unfolds in your external world. You are not bound by what has been. You are freed by what you can imagine and embody within. The moment you dare to imagine differently, to feel something new, and let it live inside you as if it were already done, you begun the act of creation. Not creation in the distant future, but creation here and now. The moment you feel it as real, before any evidence appears, you have altered the course of your life. You may not see the changes instantly, but like a seed planted in soil, the unseen transformation has already begun. Most people look at life and say this is what is and therefore this is what must continue. They allow their senses to dictate their reality, but the senses only report what imagination has already sown. If you live by what you see, you will continue to recreate the same conditions. But if you learn to live by what you imagine, what you choose to see within, you tap into the creative force that shapes universes. Imagination is not idle, it is not fantasy, it is the inner workshop of the divine. It is the place where you rehearse and accept the scenes of your life long before the world catches up. The difference between those who transform their lives and those who remain stuck is not luck, nor is it effort. It is the decision to imagine boldly and to persist in that inner vision until the outer reality mirrors it. You are imagining all the time, whether you know it or not. Every time you worry, you're imagining. Every time you replay a past hurt, you're imagining. Every time you dwell in hope or dread or longing, you are engaging your imagination. The key is to use this gift consciously. Direct it, guide it, choose the picture you wish to live inside, and remain faithful to it. The feeling is what seals it. You cannot simply recite new thoughts and expect transformation. It is the feeling of reality within that changes the mold. If you can sit in silence, close your eyes, and feel the truth of your new state, feel the joy, the peace, the relief, the confidence, as though it were already here, then you have shifted your destiny. The world must respond, not because you forced it, but because you became the new version of yourself through imagination. You don't need permission to imagine differently. You don't need proof before you feel the change. Imagination is the cause. The outer world is merely the effect. You are not at the mercy of life. You are the architect of it. So enter the inner chamber, close the door, and imagine not what is, but what could be. Then feel it as though it were already done. When you do, you have turned the master key. You have unlocked the door to a new world, and all of life will rearrange itself to match the image you hold within. You are not waiting for life to change. You are not waiting for the right moment, the right person, the perfect opportunity, or a shift in the stars. That waiting game is an illusion, because the truth is, you are not the effect, you are the cause. The change you long for does not live in the future, it lives in you, right now. In this very moment, you hold the power to shift everything, not by changing your surroundings, but by changing your stance within. There is no power in waiting. Waiting is rooted in the belief that something outside must move before you can become who you truly are. But the external world is not the initiator, it is the follower. It bends to your decision, it mirrors your stance. The moment you decide, fully and finally, to be different in consciousness, the world begins to adjust itself around you. You are not a product of time. You are not bound by circumstance. Both are fluid, shaped by the one who dares to assume their rightful identity. If you believe change comes later, it will. If you believe change must begin now, and you live from that change, embody it in thought, feeling, and action, then now is when life transforms. The delay you experience is not from life. It is from hesitation within, from the refusal to step boldly into the new self without needing external permission. But the moment you say, I am no longer waiting, I am now, you step into power. You stop observing life and you begin directing it. This is the great secret. The change you are waiting for is not an event, it is a decision. It is the decision to no longer think the way you did, to no longer feel helpless, unworthy, anxious, or doubtful. It is the moment you declare that you are already the person who has, who is, who lives the life you once hoped would come someday. This shift happens in an instant, not through struggle, not through force, through clarity, through surrender, through the quiet, firm decision to see yourself and your world differently and to refuse to go back. Life does not respond to waiting. It responds to embodiment. The question is never, when will it come? The real question is, when will you become? When will you step into the identity that matches the reality you seek? You don't need to fix your past. You don't need to control the future. You need only to dwell now in the feeling of already being the one who has changed. Feel it in your breath, in your posture, in your thoughts, in the way you carry yourself through this day. The transformation you seek begins the moment you stop expecting something else to save you and you recognize the shift must happen within. The moment you stop waiting for change and realize you are the change is the moment life begins to follow your lead. Everything begins from that inner movement, that inner stance. So step into it now, become it now, live from it now, and you'll discover that life is not happening to you, it's flowing from you, always has, always will. There is a secret held by those who shape reality effortlessly, quietly, without striving. It is not found in struggle or repetition or desperate hope. It is found in a single inner act, the assumption of the end. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not merely to dream of something better, but to occupy it now in imagination and to live from it as though it were already fact. This is the sacred act that changes everything. Most wait for evidence before they believe. They say, when I have it, then I will feel it. But the law of life moves in the opposite direction. It is not feeling that follows having. It is having that follows feeling. When you assume you already are what you desire to be and you feel it so deeply that you no longer question it, life has no choice but to mirror your state. That is the law. That is the shift. This assumption is not pretending, it is not mere visualization, it is embodiment. You walk differently, you speak differently, you think from the place you used to only look toward. You no longer ask, when will it happen? Because in your inner world it already has. This is not denial of reality, it is the creation of a new one. To assume the end is to stop chasing and begin receiving. It is to surrender striving and step into knowing. It is a calm confidence, a still conviction that what you desire is already yours in substance and only awaits the unfolding in time, but time is not your concern. You have moved, you have shifted, you now dwell in the end. When you assume the end, you stop reacting to appearances. The old world may still echo back the past for a while, but you no longer answer to it. You answer only to your new state. You don't explain it. You don't need permission. You simply live from the truth of the unseen. This is the place of peace. This is the end of anxiety. You are not hoping, wishing, or begging. You are knowing. You have climbed into the feeling of your fulfilled desire and made it your home. And because you are there in consciousness, the outer must eventually find you there. It cannot resist the pull of your conviction. Assuming the end is not a one-time act, it is a way of life. Each moment is a choice to either return to the old self, who lacked, who questioned, who waited, or to remain in the new self, who has already received, already become, already is. It is that steadfastness that opens the door. And yes, it requires faith, not blind faith in the unknown, but intimate faith in your creative power. You have already done this many times without knowing. You've assumed lack and lived in it. You've assumed rejection and met it. Now you are simply choosing a higher assumption, one of love, abundance, peace, success, wholeness. And you are choosing to stay there no matter what. That one shift, the inner decision to assume the end, is the moment everything begins to change. Because you are no longer trying to reach the destination, you are living from it. And that, more than any action you could take, is what moves the world. Your reactions are not random. They are windows into your inner state. They tell the truth about where you dwell in consciousness, not where you want to be, not what you're trying to achieve, but who you truly believe you are right now. Every reaction, whether subtle or loud, is a mirror reflecting the identity you've accepted within. And until that identity changes, the world cannot shift. People often attempt to change their circumstances while holding on to the same self-concept. They repeat affirmations, visualize outcomes, chase goals, yet they react to life from fear, lack, doubt, and unworthiness. That reaction tells the real story. Because you cannot live in abundance while reacting from scarcity. You cannot embody love while reacting with bitterness. You cannot claim success while reacting with the insecurity of someone who has not yet arrived. But here is the power. When you begin to respond to life from your chosen state, from the place of already being, already having, already knowing, everything starts to move. The world cannot help but reorganize around your new posture. The people, the opportunities, even the so-called delays begin to serve your assumed identity. Your reactions are your choice. You may not control every circumstance, but you are always free to choose how you respond. That choice is the point of creation. Every time you choose to react as the new version of yourself, calmly, confidently, with trust rather than fear, you reinforce the new state. You water it. You root yourself in it. And what you consistently water must grow. The old state will try to pull you back. It will whisper through habits and memories and emotional triggers. It will tempt you to respond the way you used to. But you are not obligated to obey it. That version of you has no power unless you grant it. The real power lies in your awareness to notice the old reaction rising and to pause, to choose differently, to ask yourself, how would the person I desire to be respond in this moment? And then to respond from that truth. This is not suppression. This is transformation. You are not denying how you feel, you are elevating it. You are choosing a new foundation from which to live. The more you do this, the more natural it becomes, until one day the old reactions no longer call you. They no longer feel like home, because your state has truly shifted. You know you have changed not when things outside begin to look different, but when you respond differently, when you no longer feel the need to defend, to chase, to prove, or to control. When you can witness life unfolding and remain steady, not because of what is happening, but because of who you've become. The world mirrors you not occasionally, but faithfully. So when your reactions rise from a new place within, a place of worth, peace, certainty, the reflection must change. This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Each reaction is an opportunity, an invitation to embody the truth you've chosen, to show yourself and the world that you are no longer who you were. You are now who you've decided to be, and everything outside must follow. Faith is not merely belief. It is not a hope, nor a wish, nor a vague longing for something better. Faith is the deliberate act of fixing your attention on the unseen reality, the inner world you have claimed as true, and holding it there, unmoved by appearances, untouched by delays, undisturbed by what seems. This is not passive. This is the most active force in the universe. For to look beyond what is and see only what is becoming, that is the sacred power of creation. Your senses will always reflect the past. What you see, hear, and touch now is the echo of an old state, a former assumption. It has no power in itself, but your attention, that is where the power lives. What you consistently focus on, you fertilize. What you attend to with feeling and conviction, you bring into form. To shift once and for all means to choose the unseen reality and remain faithful to it, until the world has no choice but to conform. You are not required to know how. You are not asked to force the outcome. You are simply called to see the end in your mind, to feel its presence in your heart, and to refuse to let it go, no matter what surrounds you. That is true faith. Fixing your gaze inward when the outer world argues against it and saying, I know who I am. I know what is mine. This is not stubbornness born of pride. It is stillness born of knowing. You are not battling the world. You are not striving against opposition. You are allowing what you have chosen to unfold by refusing to shift your gaze. You no longer look for signs. You no longer ask for proof. You carry the proof within you in the form of your attention. Every moment offers a choice. Will you look at what is, or will you remain loyal to what shall be? Faith is not shaken by contradiction. Faith does not falter when time stretches or when noise surrounds. Faith waits not in resignation, but in certainty, because it knows reality is not built by hands, it is built in consciousness. And what is held in consciousness with enough persistence must be born into form. To fix your attention on the invisible is to reject the tyranny of appearances. You no longer ask the world to show you who you are. You declare it first within, and allow the world to rise to meet you. The outer world is clay, not stone. It bends to the shape of your inner conviction. But it takes the steady eye, the quiet spirit, the unwavering attention of one who has seen the end and refuses to look away. Faith is your anchor. When doubts come, you do not fight them. You return your gaze. When fear whispers, you do not answer. You remain fixed. This is how mountains move. This is how realities are rewritten. This is how worlds are born. Not through effort, but through unwavering focus on what cannot yet be seen until it must be. You shift not many times, but once, when your attention remains fixed and no longer wavers. From that moment, the world begins to bend, not because you forced it, but because you remember who you are and you refuse to forget. When you come to understand that one inner shift changes everything, your life is no longer ruled by chance or circumstance, but by awareness. Every desire, every transformation begins not in effort but in stillness. Your inner world writes the script. Your imagination holds the key. Your reactions reveal your truth, and your faith in the unseen breathes it all into being. You are not waiting for the world to change. You are not asking for signs. You are not hoping that time or effort will finally deliver what you seek. You are the cause, the center, the origin point. Shift your state, and you shift the world. Remain loyal to that inner movement, and life must reflect it. This is the invitation. Assume the end, live from it, react as though it's already yours. Fix your gaze on the invisible until the visible bends. You don't need more time, more effort, or more proof. You need only to decide and remain. Thank you for listening. Stay in the state. The world will follow. There are no accidents. You didn't stumble upon this message. You summoned it. What you are hearing now is the echo of your own soul, calling itself into remembrance. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are awakening. You don't need to earn what is already yours. Life has been waiting for you to realize that you are not here to strive. You are here to know. All things begin in imagination, not as fantasy, but as truth in seed form. The world you walk in is not separate from the world within you. In fact, the outer must obey the inner. It always has, it always will. You are not here to beg for the life you desire. You are here to claim it, boldly, silently, powerfully. You were born with this authority, not given by man, not taught by the world, but etched into your being by the infinite. What you seek is already finished. It exists now, not tomorrow, not after the hard work, but now. Let go of appearances. Detach from the evidence. The world of facts only reflects your past consciousness. If you want something new, you must become it now. Feel it real, not because you're pretending, but because you know that reality is not what you see, it's what you believe. Stand in the assumption that it is already done. Live from it, speak from it, move from it, and what once seemed impossible will bend to your inner certainty. Do not ask how. That is not your concern. Ask only, who must I be to receive this? And then become that. You are not separate from your desires. The longing you feel is not lack. It's prophecy. It's evidence from another dimension that what you want is already yours. Now listen again. This message found you because you're ready. Ready to stop waiting. Ready to stop doubting. Ready to step into the life that has been yours from the beginning. Win everything, not by chasing, but by awakening. It's already done. And so it is. Nothing appears by accident. Your consciousness led you here. There are no coincidences in a world where mind is the only cause. Everything you encounter, everything that stirs something within you is not random. It is by design. And not by the design of some outside force, but by the design of your own inner world. You brought this moment into being. You drew it in, not because of effort or chance, but because something within you has already shifted. You are not discovering this message, you are remembering it. There is a divine intelligence unfolding beneath every surface, a pattern written long before you asked for the signs. And this moment, this message, is one of those signs. If it resonates with you, it's because it already belongs to you. This is your reflection. What you feel stirred inside right now is your own deeper self whispering, "You're ready." Understand this? Nothing comes into your awareness that isn't already part of your vibration. You can only meet what you become a match to in consciousness. That is the sacred law of being. So if you have found this message, it's not because you stumbled into something powerful, but because you are powerful. And you're finally beginning to remember that. So many spend their lives believing that life is happening to them, that circumstances are fixed and they must adapt. But something in you has broken that trance. You are beginning to know, even if you can't explain it yet, that the outer world is not the master but the servant of the inner. And in that knowing, everything changes. When the soul is ready, when the inner man begins to awaken, it sends out a quiet call. Not with words, not with begging, but with intention. And that intention calls forth everything required: people, resources, insights, ideas, and sometimes a message, just like this one. You are in the middle of a divine unfolding, not because something is about to happen, but because something has already shifted. You may not see the results yet, you may still feel unsure, but the shift has occurred, the seed has been planted. And you are not waiting for your miracle, you are the miracle in motion. The self that you are now is no longer willing to be bound by the rules of limitation. That's why this appeared for you. It showed up the moment you outgrew the story you were telling yourself. The moment you decided, even quietly, that more was possible. Do not dismiss that quiet knowing within you, that voice that tells you there's more, that you are more, that you came here for something greater. That voice is not your imagination, it is your truth. You were drawn here by your own inner command, not a command of force, but of alignment. It was not desperation that brought you here, but readiness. Your deeper self knew it was time to awaken, and so you moved, perhaps without even realizing it, toward your next chapter. And now, here you are. Let that sink in. You didn't need to chase. You didn't need to prove. You simply needed to align. And that is exactly what you've done. You've aligned with a version of yourself that is no longer content to live on autopilot. You've aligned with the one who creates, who chooses, who assumes boldly and receives gracefully. You are in the right place. This is not just another video. It's a reflection of your own rising. You are remembering that you are the cause, not the effect. The author, not the reader. The master, not the victim. You are not late. You are not lost. You have arrived at the exact moment your higher self ordained. Now receive this truth fully. You are not watching this message by chance. You called it in. And now your life will never be the same. Imagination is the blueprint of all creation. Before anything appears in the world of form, it is first conceived in the unseen realm of thought and feeling. What you see with your physical eyes is only the echo of what has already occurred within. The outer world is not separate from the inner world. It is its direct outpicturing. Nothing shows up in your life that you have not in some way imagined, whether knowingly or unconsciously. Your inner world is not reacting to life, is creating it. Every circumstance, every condition, every event that unfolds in your reality is born from the state of being you occupy within. You do not experience what you merely hope for or talk about. You experience what you truly accept as real. And this acceptance happens not in the intellect but in the imagination. It is there, in that sacred space behind the surface of thought, where all things begin. To imagine is not to fantasize. It is not idle daydreaming. It is a spiritual act of creation. Imagination is the workshop of reality, the silent architect behind the scenes, shaping every detail of your life. The world does not impose itself on you. You project it out of the ideas you hold and the emotions you repeatedly feel. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. You don't get what you want, you get who you are in consciousness. This is a truth that many struggle to accept because it demands responsibility. It asks you to turn inward rather than blame the outer world. But once this truth is accepted, it becomes the key to incredible freedom. Because if you are the cause, then you are also the solution. You can change the outer by altering the inner. There is no one to change but self. What does it mean to be something in consciousness? It means to feel it, to identify with it, to believe it even in the absence of outer evidence. It means walking through life as though the unseen were already seen, as though the invisible were already made visible. This is not delusion, it is the very process by which reality forms. You are not waiting for the world to change, the world is waiting for you to change. Every great advancement in life, every breakthrough, every dream come true was first imagined by someone who dared to believe in what their senses could not yet confirm. This same power lives in you. It has always lived in you. The only difference between the life you desire and the life you have now is the state of consciousness you dwell in most often. Change your inner assumptions and the outer world must conform. It has no choice. It is law. You do not need to force the world to bend to your will. You need only to enter the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to live as though your desire is already your reality. When you do this, you impress that idea upon your subconscious and it must express. The how, the when, the path it takes, that is not your concern. Your only task is to embody the state of the person who already has what they once desired. You are always imagining. Every moment of the day you are creating through the thoughts you accept and the feelings you allow to dwell within. The question is not whether you're imagining, but whether you're imagining consciously. Most people create by default. They react, they fear, they dwell in lack, and life reflects that back to them perfectly. But you are awakening to a greater truth. You are realizing that your imagination is not something to be dismissed or ignored. It is the key to the kingdom. Begin now to imagine deliberately. Do not wait. See yourself as you wish to be, not as you currently are. Feel it real. Let it soak into your being until it becomes your new normal. And then watch the world around you shift, not because you forced it, but because you became it. Your world is the mirror of your inner state. Change the state, and you change the reflection. Imagination is not just the beginning of creation, it is the whole of it. To win everything, you must surrender everything, but only in form, not in faith. This is the paradox that few understand, and even fewer embody. The world teaches striving, grasping, chasing outcomes with anxious energy. But the deeper truth, the truth known by those who create effortlessly, is that surrender is not weakness, it is power. Not the power to dominate, but the power to allow. To trust the unseen, to release the grip of control and let the greater current of life carry you exactly where you need to be. You are not meant to force your way into alignment, you are meant to surrender into it. This does not mean abandoning your desire, quite the opposite. It means holding your desire as sacred, so sacred in fact that you no longer try to manipulate its arrival. You no longer question whether it is possible or beg for it to come. Instead, you rest in the knowing that it is already yours in the realm where all things begin, consciousness. Give up control, not your desire. Control belongs to the limited self. the part of you that believes it must push, fight, strive. But desire is from the deeper self. Desire is divine. It is the echo of a future reality calling you into being. You are not here to extinguish desire. You are here to awaken to the truth that your desire is already fulfilled. That is why it was given to you, not to taunt or test, but to guide you into the version of yourself that already has it. This is the great secret. You are not to chase, you are to assume and receive. Chase implies separation. It implies that what you want is outside of you, running ahead of you, always out of reach. But assumption pulls the future into the now. It says, I am already that which I seek. It is not arrogance, it is spiritual alignment. When you assume the state of the one who already has what they desire, you cease to look for signs, you become the sign. Receiving is not passive, it is profoundly active, but in an inner sense. It is an act of faith, of expectancy, of deep inner conviction. When you enter the state of receiving, you are not begging the universe, you are communing with it. You are saying, I know what is mine, I know it is finished. I need do nothing but prepare myself to receive it. This is surrender, not to the absence of the thing, but to the certainty of it. This surrender will strip away the need to prove, to impress, to hustle for your worthiness, because once you know it is already yours, the outer noise becomes irrelevant. You no longer need to convince the world. You no longer even need to convince yourself. You simply rest in the feeling that it is done. Your job is not to figure out the path. Your job is to remain faithful to the state. Let the path reveal itself. Let the doors open naturally. When you release the compulsion to control every detail, you make space for life to move. You make space for the unseen to become seen. You will find that the less you chase, the more comes to you. Not because you are idle, but because you are in harmony. When you stop acting from fear and start moving from faith, everything changes. You stop leaking energy. You stop doubting the process. You stop shrinking your vision to fit your circumstances. Surrender is not the end of desire, it is the beginning of manifestation. It is the moment you stop trying to make it happen and start living as though it already has. That shift, quiet, internal, unseen by the world, is the axis upon which everything turns. So let go of control. Hold your desire in faith. Assume its reality and receive what is already yours. This is how you win everything. Feeling is the secret signal that aligns you with your desired reality. It is the language of creation, the invisible vibration that speaks louder than words and moves the unseen forces of life into perfect formation. Thought alone is not enough. Intention alone is not enough. It is feeling, pure, sustained, and alive, that impresses itself upon the deeper mind and molds the shape of your world. You are not drawing things to you by wishful thinking or mechanical repetition. You are attracting what you are in feeling. What you feel consistently becomes the atmosphere you live in, and that atmosphere becomes your life. You may speak abundance, but if you feel lack, it is lack that will respond. You may affirm love, but if you feel unworthy, it is rejection that will echo. The law is simple. The feeling dominates. This is not to be feared, but honored. It means that you hold the key to your experience not in effort, but in emotion. The inner climate you nurture is the seedbed of your external conditions. When you feel deeply, you are planting. When you feel consistently, you are watering. And when that feeling aligns with your desired state, you will reap its fruits, not because you forced it, but because you allowed yourself to become it. Most people are asleep to their own emotional power. They react, complain, and try to think their way into change while carrying feelings that contradict their goals. They attempt to manifest joy while living in resentment. They want peace while feeding anxiety. But life does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you feel to be true. Feeling is not merely an effect, it is a cause. It is not just a reaction to life, it is the initiator of it. That is why the moment you change your feeling, you begin to change your world. The shift may not be immediate to the senses, but it is instant in the unseen. A new feeling is a new frequency, and everything on that frequency begins to find its way to you. The great question is not what do I want, but what am I feeling now? Because what you are feeling now is the vibration you are emitting, the invitation you are sending out. Every moment you are being answered, not according to your wishes, but according to your dominant feeling. You are always manifesting, whether consciously or not. The key is to do it deliberately. To feel your wish fulfilled is to live from the end. It is to enter the state of already having. This is not pretending, it is becoming. It is not about faking joy or forcing gratitude. It is about sinking into the reality of your desire with such depth that the line between what is imagined and what is real begins to blur. And in that blur, the bridge of events begins to form. You must teach yourself to feel on purpose. This is the real inner work. Not struggling against conditions, but mastering your internal world. You begin by quieting the mind and asking yourself, how would I feel if it were already done? And then you let that feeling grow. You water it with attention. You nourish it with repetition. You return to it again and again until it becomes natural, until it becomes familiar, until it becomes who you are. Do not wait for the world to give you a reason to feel different. You are the cause, not the effect. When you choose your feeling before the evidence must eventually appear. This is law. The world is a mirror, not a master. It reflects you. And feeling is what you reflect. So feel your way there, not with force, but with faith. Not with effort, but with surrender. Feel it real, feel it often, and feel it deeply. What you feel becomes what you live. Time is an illusion. What you seek is already finished. You believe you are waiting for your manifestation when in truth it has been waiting for you. The moment you desired it, it was completed in the invisible. In the eternal realm beyond the senses, nothing is becoming, everything simply is. There, the future is not ahead of you, it is within you, already alive in consciousness, already shaped in spirit, already yours. But the world of appearances clouds this truth. It seduces you into believing in delays, separations, and conditions. It whispers that you are not yet there, that you must earn it, wait for it, strive for it. But what is appearing as a delay is not a delay in reality, it is a delay in awareness. You are not waiting for the thing, you are being prepared to see it, to hold it, to become equal to it. This is the deeper meaning of manifestation, not calling something forth, but waking up to what is already yours. There is nothing to chase, there is only something to remember. You are not a beggar on the path. You are the author of the journey. The storyline of your life has already been written, and the ending you desire is part of it, not because of luck, not because of coincidence, but because you imagined it, and every imagined scene contains its own fulfillment. Time is the curtain behind which your answered prayer waits. It is not a barrier, but a veil. It is not your enemy, it is the space in which your faith is tested and your identity is shaped. The delay you perceive is not in the thing, but in your assumption of it. The longer you look to the outer for proof, the longer you remain blind to the truth within. You must stop measuring by the clock and start measuring by the feeling. Time has no power over the one who lives in the state of the wish fulfilled. That state is timeless, ageless, and always now. When you enter it fully, when you feel the reality of what you desire as if it were already so, you collapse the illusion of waiting. You step out of the world of becoming and into the world of being. This is the sacred art of assumption. You do not wait for life to show you. You show life what you already know. You do not hope to see it. You see it with the eyes of spirit, and then it must be seen with the eyes of flesh. What you assume to be true long enough, deeply enough, and consistently enough will harden into fact. Your job is not to question the timing, but to stay faithful to the state. All things are working to bring you face to face with the version of you who already has what you desire. That version is not separate from you, it is you on another level of awareness. And time is not the bridge, assumption is. So stop asking when. Start assuming now. Time is only needed for those who are still doubting. But for the one who knows, time becomes irrelevant. The end is seen from the beginning. The goal is already reached in the imagination. The victory is already felt before the battle ever begins. If you could truly see beyond appearances, you would know that your manifestation is already complete. The image you hold, the scene you replay, the desire you carry, it all exists now. Alive in the unseen, waiting not for time to pass, but for your consciousness to align. That is all. That is everything. So stop looking at clocks and calendars, begin living from the inside out. Speak, walk, think, and feel from the end. Because the end is not coming, it is already here. And the more you accept that, the faster the world will reflect it. There is no waiting, there is only waking. Wake up, it's already yours. You are not separate from your desires, they are a prophecy of your future. They do not come to mock you or to remind you of your lack. They arise from the deeper self, the divine imagination within you, revealing what is already yours in spirit. That which you long for is not distant or uncertain. It is a spiritual fact trying to emerge through you, shaped in love, delivered by grace, and clothed in your willingness to receive. Desire is not weakness. It is not fantasy. It is communication. It is the whisper of your higher self calling you into remembrance of what has always been yours. You do not invent desires, you uncover them. They were placed within you, coded in your being like seeds in the earth, waiting for the right moment of belief to bloom into form. To desire is to be shown. Every longing carries the shape of its fulfillment, and every true desire is a divine invitation to embody what is already complete in the unseen. The problem arises only when you see the desire as separate from yourself, when you treat it as something to chase instead of something to assume. You cannot chase what is already within you. You cannot beg for what you were born to express. The key is not pursuit, but permission. Permission to believe it is done. When you assume the wish fulfilled, you are no longer asking life for anything. You are allowing life to show you what has already been given. To accept your desire as done is not to pretend, it is to align. It is to harmonize your thoughts, feelings, and actions with the reality your inner being already knows to be true. You become the vessel for the thing to appear. You become the atmosphere through which the invisible is made visible. This is why desire must be honored. Not worshipped, not doubted, but honored as sacred revelation. It is the evidence that a greater version of you is asking to come forward, and that version of you does not need to force, to manipulate, or to struggle. It simply needs to wake up to its identity. You do not need more time. You do not need more science. You need only to remember who you are. When you identify with a version of you that already has what you desire, you call it forth by being it. That is the secret. Not to get it, but to be it, to feel it, to walk in it now. The longer you see the desire as far away, the longer you delay its arrival. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it cannot deliver to someone who doesn't believe they are home. The package is already sent, the path is already made, but you must be there to receive it, not physically, but in consciousness. And the way you arrive is simple. You believe, you assume, you feel, you embody. You take your desires seriously, not with desperation, but with quiet certainty. You do not need to convince others. You do not need their validation. Your conviction alone is enough to make it real. Desire is not meant to cause suffering. It is the voice of your soul pointing to what is possible. But possibilities must be claimed. You must say yes to the life you were born to live, not someday, not when conditions are perfect, but now, within, where all things begin. So when the desire rises, do not question it. Do not ask how or when. Simply say yes. Let your mind rest in the assurance that what you seek is already part of you. And from that place of union, let it move. Let it unfold. Let it come, not as a stranger, but as something returning home. You are not separate from your desires. They are your future, already written. Say yes, feel it done, and allow it to be. And so, let this be your awakening. Everything you've heard, everything you felt, it wasn't coincidence, it was confirmation. You were led here because the truth is ready to rise in you. No more begging, no more waiting, no more doubting. What you seek is already yours. The desire you carry is not a maybe. It is a must. It is sacred, and it's finished. You are the creator, the one who imagines, assumes, and becomes. You are not at the mercy of time nor bound by circumstance. You are the operant power. Walk as the one who already has it. Feel from the end. Live from the truth that your world is only and always a reflection of your state. So breathe, accept it, align with it. It's done. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. And most of all, thank you for remembering who you are. If you are seeing this, it means something profound has already taken place within you, something invisible, yet unmistakably real. You have shifted. Not in your external world first, but in the deepest chambers of your mind and heart. Your inner eye has opened to a new vision, a new understanding of who you truly are and what your life is meant to be. You see, the world you walk in is not fixed. It bends and sways according to the landscape of your consciousness. When you change your inner state, the outer world begins to echo that transformation. This message you are seeing now is a beacon, a sign that your perception has moved beyond the old patterns of limitation, fear, and doubt. You have stepped through a veil. No longer bound by what once was, you now live in the realm of what can be. Your imagination, your belief, your feeling, these have become the architects of your reality. The shift is your awakening to the truth that you are not a passive passenger in life, but the conscious creator. This shift is not a final destination, but a new beginning. It invites you to walk forward with trust, knowing that the universe responds to your every thought and feeling. You are now tuned to a higher frequency, one where possibility is endless and life flows with ease. So embrace this moment. Let go of any lingering doubts or fears. You have already shifted. Now live as if your new reality is already here, for it is. The world around you will begin to mirror this new truth. The life you desire, the peace you seek, the joy you crave, all await your confident, unwavering belief. If you are seeing this, it means you have already shifted. Now, step fully into this new reality. Live it, breathe it, be it. Your perception is the gateway to your reality. It is not the world around you that determines your experience, but the way you see it, the way you feel it, and the meaning you give to it. Everything begins within you. When you notice a shift in your life, perhaps subtle at first, perhaps like a quiet whisper that something has changed, it is not the world that has moved, it is you. Your inner vision has changed, and as surely as night follows day, your world must respond. You may not have seen it happen in a flash. Shifts are not always thunderclaps or lightning bolts. Often they are gentle nudges, moments of deep awareness, where you no longer react the same way to what once unsettled you. You no longer chase or beg or fear. You begin to walk in a quiet knowing. That knowing is the shift. That certainty is the sign that your perception has aligned with a new reality. What you perceive determines what you believe becomes what you live. When your perception expands, when you begin to view the world through the eyes of possibility, gratitude and power, the impossible starts to appear possible. Doors open that once seemed sealed. People arrive who match your frequency. Circumstances rearrange to reflect the new story you are telling within. It is not magic in the way the world describes magic. It is law. It is cause and effect. The inner man leads, the outer world follows. When you start seeing beauty in what once brought you pain, when you begin to trust in the unseen more than the seen, you have shifted. Your attention no longer feeds your fears but fuels your desires. You stop asking if it's coming and begin assuming it already has. That assumption is perception transformed. You can only receive what you are willing to see, not with your eyes, but with your awareness. Look around you, truly look, and you will find that the conditions you experience are mirrors shaped by the lens through which you view the world. And when that lens is cleaned, polished by faith, imagination, and a sense of worthiness, everything becomes new. To shift is not to force change from the outside. It is to allow truth to rise from within. You begin to see yourself differently. No longer small, no longer unworthy, no longer a product of your past. You stop identifying with lack and start dwelling in abundance, even before it arrives. And that dwelling, that steady inner posture, becomes the womb of manifestation. So if you feel the shift, honor it. Don't rush it. Don't second guess it. Instead, rest in the awareness that something beautiful is unfolding. Your perception has moved from shadow to light, from doubt to knowing. And as your vision changes, so too must your reality. It is already happening. You are already becoming. The new world is not coming, it is here, because you are finally seeing it. And that changes everything. Shifts are proof of awakening. They are not coincidences or random changes in mood or energy. They are signals, divine whispers, that something inside you has opened, released, and evolved. When you see a message like this, when you feel drawn to it, it is not by chance. It is evidence that you have already moved beyond the limits of your former self. The walls that once enclosed your mind have quietly fallen away, and you've stepped into a new dimension of being, even if you cannot fully describe it yet. You are not who you used to be. The doubts that used to consume you no longer have the same grip. The fears that once dictated your actions now feel distant, like echoes from a version of you that has already been left behind. This is the shift. Not a flash of light from the sky, but a subtle reorientation from within. Your awareness has expanded. Your consciousness has elevated. And the old identity, the one shaped by limitation, hesitation, and survival, has begun to dissolve. You may still look the same on the outside. Your surroundings might not have changed yet, But the shift is real. It begins deep within, in the quiet realm of thought and feeling. You are no longer reacting to the world in the same way. You are choosing, you are creating, you are becoming. The fact that you are seeing this now means you have reached the threshold, the place where the old timeline ends and the new one begins. This is not the beginning of your journey, but the recognition of your progress. The moment you perceive a shift, it has already happened. You have crossed an invisible line. What once seemed impossible now feels near. What once felt heavy now feels light. You are awake to the truth that you are not a prisoner of your past, not a victim of circumstance, but the architect of your destiny. You've awakened to the realization that life does not happen to you, it responds to you. And in that awakening, you are no longer waiting for permission to live fully, to love deeply, to receive abundantly. You understand now that the only limits that ever existed were the ones you accepted. But now you are saying no to that. You are stepping out of the old and into the now, into a life where your thoughts shape your world, where your beliefs set the course of your experience. Do not question the shift. Do not fear it. You have been prepared for this moment. Everything you have endured, everything you have learned has led to this expansion. You are not losing yourself, you are remembering who you really are. And as you walk forward in this new state of being, the outer world will begin to match your inner truth. Things will move, people will change, new paths will emerge. Why? Because you have shifted, because you are awake. And once awake, you can never return to the old way of being. You've outgrown it. And something greater now calls you forward, something that's already yours, waiting to be claimed by the awakened version of you that finally sees it. Reality responds to your inner state. It does not move at random, nor does it bend to effort alone. It mirrors you, the quiet, consistent truth of who you are being within. What you dwell upon, what you imagine over and over, and what you deeply believe to be true. These are not idle thoughts. They are blueprints. They form the unseen structure of the life you live now. The outer world is the echo. The inner state is the voice that calls it forth. You may believe your circumstances are fixed, that the facts around you determine what is possible, but this is the illusion. The truth is that circumstances are reflections. They are not creators. They are results. Everything that is showing up in your life today was first born within, in the emotions you repeatedly entertained, in the stories you've silently told yourself, and in the assumptions you've allowed to settle into your heart. Imagination is not child's play. It is the power of creation itself. Every great change, every new beginning started first in the unseen. Before the new job, the relationship, the breakthrough, there was a shift in perception, in belief, in inner state. Someone dared to feel differently, to believe something new. And that belief began to magnetize new conditions into their world. This is why simply working harder or chasing more rarely leads to fulfillment. Because if the inner man is still dwelling in fear, in lack, in limitation, then no matter how much is gained externally, it will slip away or fail to satisfy. The inner must come first. When you live from a state of peace, peace appears. When you dwell in gratitude, more arrives to be grateful for. When you feel abundance, not because of what you have, but because of who you are, the world rises to meet that truth. This is the secret most overlooked. Your feelings are not reactions to life. They are instructions. They tell life what to bring next. To dwell upon worry is to call forth more reasons to worry. To live in the state of already having, already being, already becoming, that is how you collapse time and bring your desire near. Belief is the soil in which your life grows. And belief is not simply a thought you think once. It is the thought you return to again and again until it becomes automatic, until it becomes you. To change your life, you must first change what you accept as true. And the most powerful truth you can accept is this: your inner state governs your world. Period. There is no force more transformative than a person who takes full responsibility for their inner world. Not blaming, not waiting, not hoping, but choosing. Choosing to feel different, to think higher, to imagine better. When you do this consistently, life begins to mold itself around the new you. So stop looking outward for signs of change. Begin within. Speak as though it is done. Feel as though it is real. Walk as though it is yours, because it is. Reality will catch up to your inner world. It always does. Your awareness creates your existence. Before anything appears in form, it is held in consciousness. Before a door opens, before an answer arrives, before a new chapter begins, something shifts within you. That shift is awareness. It is the moment you no longer see yourself as at the mercy of life, but as the very force shaping it. You stop reacting, you begin creating. You begin choosing how to feel, how to think, how to see, regardless of what the world presents. The moment you realize you've shifted, you step into power. You cross a line where the old patterns, the old stories no longer rule you. You may still remember them, but they no longer define you. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this revealing about my inner state?" That single shift in perception changes everything. You are no longer a victim of circumstance. You are no longer waiting for life to give you permission to feel joy, peace, or success. You understand that those states must be claimed first, within. And when they are, life begins to echo them back. People treat you differently. Opportunities emerge that once felt distant, not because the world suddenly became kind, but because you awakened. You stopped living unconsciously, and you began directing the flow of your own energy. This is the essence of conscious creation, becoming aware of your own awareness, observing the thoughts you've been entertaining and asking, "Is this in harmony with the life I desire?" When you become aware, you reclaim your power. You can no longer pretend you are powerless. When you know you are the source, you can no longer blame others for what you've chosen to dwell upon. Awareness is more than noticing what is wrong or right. It is the light that reveals where you've been living on autopilot. It is the gentle nudge that says you can choose again. And in that choice, in that decision to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your reality begins to conform. Slowly at first, perhaps, but inevitably. Your world is a mirror. It reflects not just what you say, but what you believe. Not just what you want, but what you are willing to accept. And awareness is what sharpens the lens, what clears the fog of old conditioning. Once you see yourself as the creator, you cannot go back to being the character who suffers from his own imagined limitations. You have already shifted. The fact that you are recognizing it means the change is real. And now you are free to move forward in clarity, free to choose thoughts that serve your purpose, free to embody the life you've long desired, not in some distant future, but now, through the simple act of awareness. From this point on, nothing outside of you holds the power. You do, because your state of being, your awareness, is the cause. Everything else is the effect. The dream is not outside of you, it begins where you are. And once you know that, you are no longer the one who waits. Embrace the new frequency. You would not have found this message, nor felt its truth stir within you, unless something deep inside had already changed. This shift you're experiencing is not minor. It is not temporary. It is a new alignment, a realignment with a higher frequency, one that resonates not with who you've been, but with who you truly are. And that is the most powerful realization you can have. You have already tuned in to a version of yourself that sees more, feels more, and creates more. You may not have words for it yet. You may still be adjusting to the silence that follows the storm. But within you, something has become still, steady, and clear. What you used to chase no longer holds power over you. What used to burden you feels lighter. Why? Because you are now operating from a different frequency. And frequency is not fantasy. It is the invisible thread that determines what flows into your life. It is the vibration that attracts your reality. When your frequency rises, your perception changes. What once seemed impossible now feels inevitable. You no longer look for signs, you become the sign. You no longer wait for proof, you live from knowing. This is the elevation the shift brings. You start to walk with quiet confidence, not because everything has changed on the outside, but because everything has changed on the inside. That change is what the world must now respond to. The beauty of this new frequency is that it aligns you with things that were always there but hidden from view. Possibilities, people, pathways, all just outside the reach of your former self. But now, you're attuned to a different signal. You're tuned into truth, into abundance, into peace that isn't dependent on conditions. And when you live from that space, your life begins to move in harmony with it. This shift is not something you force. You cannot struggle your way into alignment. You allow it. You surrender to it. You recognize that your greatest power is not in effort, but in your ability to feel and embody a state of being. You let go of the old frequencies of fear, need, and lack. You no longer match the energy of what you don't want. You rise, and as you rise, so does your reality. It is here, in this new state, that you begin to live as your true self. No longer reacting, but responding. No longer hoping, but trusting. You speak with intention, you move with purpose. And most importantly, you remain still inside, even when the world shifts around you. That stillness is your power. That stability is your anchor in the unseen. So embrace it. Embrace the version of you that is no longer afraid. Embrace the stillness, the clarity, the lightness that comes when you stop resisting what you've already become. The shift has occurred. The frequency has changed. And all that is required of you now is to remain there. To live from that place. To breathe from that place. And to let your outer world rise to meet the new vibration you now call home. Let go and trust the process. The shift you felt is not something that happens once and ends. It is not a single moment of clarity or a flash of inspiration that fades away. It is a continuous unfolding, a quiet and powerful transformation that begins within and moves outward. It is like dawn slowly pushing back the night, at first subtle, almost unnoticeable, but eventually undeniable. The more you surrender to this unfolding, the more you see that everything is, and has always been, working toward your highest good. You may not understand it all now. You may feel uncertain, disoriented, even doubtful at times. That is natural. But remember, the seed does not question the soil when it breaks open. It does not resist the darkness before the sprout. It trusts the process written within it. And so must you. You are not lost. You are growing. What you're experiencing is the undoing of an old version of you and the gentle emergence of who you are always meant to be. This unfolding may require you to let go of people, patterns, or places that once gave you comfort. But if they no longer match the frequency of your becoming, they will fall away, not as a punishment, but as a blessing. Do not try to hold on to what life is trying to free you from. If something is leaving, it is because something better is approaching. But to receive the new, you must make space. The mind will want control. It will ask for timelines and signs, for guarantees and evidence. But this shift does not operate on those terms. It is a higher intelligence, one that responds not to fear, but to faith. And faith does not demand proof. Faith is the knowing before the seeing. The inner conviction that no matter how it appears right now, everything is working in divine order. You are being rearranged for something greater. Every delay, every detour, every closed door is a part of the design. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is random. Every moment is leading you somewhere sacred. And the more you trust that, the more peace you feel. The less you resist, the faster things align. This is not about forcing outcomes. This is about becoming the version of you who naturally receives them. Letting go is not weakness, it is power. It means you are no longer trying to make things happen from a place of lack or urgency. You are allowing life to flow through you, knowing that what is meant for you cannot miss you. You are surrendering not in defeat, but in wisdom, knowing that your role is not to control the how, but to remain faithful to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. So trust even when it feels uncertain, trust even when the evidence hasn't yet arrived. The shift has already begun. You are already becoming. And as you hold your inner state steady, grateful, receptive, all things will come into alignment in their perfect time. Let go of the old, trust the process. The path is unfolding beneath your feet and it is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. You did not arrive here by accident. The shift has already begun within you, not as a sudden event, but as a quiet, powerful unfolding. You have become aware of your power, your frequency, and your ability to shape your reality from within. You now understand that your perception is the doorway to a new life, that your awareness is the cause, and that reality only reflects your inner state. You are no longer waiting for change. You are the change. Now you move differently. You think from the end. You trust the unseen. You let go of what no longer serves and make room for what aligns. And above all, you live in full knowing that everything, every delay, every moment, every breath is working in your favor. You have shifted. Stay there. Remain in that knowing. And let life rise to meet your new state of being. Thank you for allowing these words to meet you where you are. You are not just hearing this, you are ready for this. The shift is real. The shift is you.